Okay, so these are positions for tank destroyers. I'm only going to show you the positions that I like to play. For the South team, I like to play in this position here on the east side on the back slope of the hill. And the reason why is because you can hit tanks that are close to the river. And I usually get good games sniping from this position. And if you need to hit the tanks up in the north, you can hit them. All you got to do is crest the top of the hill, and you're safe over here. You won't get spotted in this position. When I play the northern team, I like to be in this position here where you can shoot at tanks as they advance north. For example, if a heavy tank tries to advance to the north to get to your northern team, you can shoot them. So you're really going to pin down the eastern side using that position that I first highlighted. Now there's another position over here. I'm going to mark it more easily. This position over here, this one has a harder view. The buildings block the view a little bit more, so you don't get a good view of the hills, but you will get a good view of the north part if the team tries to advance. There is another position over here, but the problem with this position is you're going to get spotted easily. However, it's good if you want to pin down the enemy through this open area, but you'll have to have really strong armor in order to do that. These are positions that I like to play on the Erlenberg map with light tanks. So I'm going to start with one of my favorite positions, which is right here. There's a lot of advantages to this position. You're going to prevent the enemy tanks from having control of the northeast. You're going to spot the tanks as they advance through the center of the map. So your snipers on the east side on the hills will be able to shoot across from here to here at those tanks. They'll also be able to shoot from here to here, from this direction, and they're going to pin down the enemy light tanks and prevent the enemy light tanks from getting spotting positions. And you'll be able to spot enemy tanks that are in the backfield, for example, over here and over here, when they come up and shoot. So that's why I like this position. It's not a large amount of brush. It's a small grassy area, and I've put large tanks in there, such as the Centurion Action X or whatever I happen to have. If you watch my videos, you'll see what I'm talking about. I've used this position many times. There's another position that I like to use, which is right over here on the west side. And from this position, you can spot the enemy tanks as they're advancing to the west side, and you can spot the tank destroyers that are camping in the back, and sometimes you can spot the SPGs, and you can spot heavy tanks, or you can shoot at heavy tanks that are vulnerable, that are in the middle of the map. So this position has a lot of control. You're also going to spot enemy light tanks that try to show up on the hill on the west side. It's a position that you can snipe from because there's solid cover, there's buildings, and there's bushes that you can hide behind. And this is a good position, and I rarely get spotted over here. And if you have allies backing you up, they can shoot at these tanks early in the game and do damage to them. So that's also a good position that I like to play. The other position that I like to play is over here, because you can snipe at enemy tanks that are in the middle of the map, and enemy tanks will try to come up along the east side of the river as well as the west side of the river. And what you do is you stay on the back side of the slope and you snipe across. That's another position I like to take. Now for the northern team, I like to take this position over here. It's very deep into the south, so you have to watch out for the green team. If heavy tanks come around the corner, they can spot you, and they will come around because they're never going to expect you to be there. So you got to be careful with that position. You will occasionally get spotted being in that position. There's also a position over here that you can use to shoot across at enemy tanks that are trying to advance north. You're going to prevent the enemy team, the southern team, from advancing north from that position. You will spot tanks from here. You're going to spot tanks that are up on the hill on the east side. The west side, you're really not going to spot anything, but you're going to prevent the east side from advancing. And if they try to advance to the north, you're going to hit those tanks. Tanks that try to advance over here are vulnerable and they won't make it. You're going to be able to snipe them out of existence. So that's why I like those positions. Now there is another position that I marked, which is right here, which I have a theory would be a good position, but I've never played it because I like the other positions that I've played. This would be a passive scouting location. You would not be able to snipe, or if you snipe from this position, you have to shoot and run. Okay, so those are my light tank positions. This is the Erlenberg map, and these are good positions for SPGs. Now, you're going to notice, let's first look at the southern team. There's two positions. The first one is the position on the right, which is near the spawn and the base, that allows you to hit enemy tanks that are that haven't fully advanced to the south. Once the enemy tanks start advancing, when they're over here, you'll be able to hit them. But as they come further south, you're going to have to move to the position on the left as they come around the bend in the road. So those are the two positions that I like to play. And of course, from these two positions, not only can you shoot through the town, but you can also shoot at all other locations on the map. Plus, from the left position, you can hit the tanks that are on the east side along the river. Now, in terms of the northern team, I will mark the northern team in red. The northern team is going to hit the southern team by being positioned at the A7 area, and the southern team is going to be lining up over here and over in this position, and you'll get good shots, plus you'll be able to shoot at other places on the map. If the southern team does advance, you will have to relocate, and the place to relocate to is going to be over here. However, you might get spotted easily if the enemy team does advance into these positions. So that is my positioning for SPGs. This tank is the Object 704. This is a Russian Tier 9 tank destroyer, and the map is Erlenberg. I'm going to show you a sniping position. I'm going to fast forward it just because it's going to take so long to get there. I think there's a chance that someone might hit me in this game. You got to be careful. I've had games where I've been hit on the way to the sniping position. It looks like I made it okay. Okay, there it is. So you got to be careful. Yeah, this is the one. Got hit twice. So basically, what you want to do is you want to come to this area, but you don't want to go over the crest of the hill. As long as I'm on my side of the hill, very unlikely that I'm going to get spotted. No one's going to be able to shoot at me, and you just sit right here. You'll notice that I'm aiming for where the turret is, because this way if the shot goes a little high, it'll hit the turret. If you aim for the back, you could shoot over the deck of the engine. So I got around 1,000. I got 1,005 damage on those two shots against that tank. You can see I'm going to get 4,000 damage in this game. One thing you're going to notice is I'm going to miss a lot of shots in this game. I might miss half of my shots. That was 672 damage. If you like to play this type of tank, I highly recommend the camo net. The camo net will keep you hidden and will give you more flexibility. Oh, nice. That was 725 damage. So a camo net will give you more flexibility. You'll have more positions that you'll be able to sit in and hide in. I don't think I'm using a camo net. No, I'm not. That was an example of a wasted shot. He died and I shot at him anyway. There's another missed shot. I only hit 4 tanks so far. But I do have 2,400 damage. And you'll notice that since I've been here, I haven't been spotted and no one has been shooting back at me. The enemies that I'm shooting at are at the edge of my spotting range, so I'm at the edge of their spotting range, which means I'm unlikely to be hit because I do have good concealment on the tank in general. There's only 2 more targets in front of me. A T-110E5 and a T-110E4. You'll notice on the minimap there is an enemy tank right next to me, 1 sector away. There's another missed shot. So I did have lousy gameplay in this particular game. This was after not playing World of Tanks for a long time, for many months. You'll notice on my channel I have not had many videos recently, and a lot of the videos are just rehashes of older videos. So I haven't been playing for over 4 months. Okay, so that was the extent of this position. Let's move on to the next video. This tank is the FCM-50T. This is a French Tier 8 heavy tank, and the map is Erlenberg in the assault defend mode, and I'm on the defending team. This tank is also a premium tank. When I first got this tank, it was absolutely one of my favorite tanks, and the reason why is because it's very fast. And as a heavy tank means it's got better armor than a light tank, for example. And the gun's okay, nothing special about it. But I like the speed that the tank had. So I had a lot of good games. Like, I would do a lot of ramming with this tank. So you can see that already I got some sniping shots on that first tank to show up. Now, one of the things you're going to notice is that I like to use the auto aim when I play, especially for tanks that are far away, because there is a chance that the tank might move right at the point where you fire. And if that happens, there's times when the tank will suddenly move and then you'll miss your shot if you're not auto-aimed on it. And the same can happen with the tank that suddenly stops. You might try a leading shot aiming in front of the tank, and then the tank suddenly stops right when you fire, so you end up missing the tank. So I use the auto-aim on these tanks often. Also, because I have a high ping time, you can see my ping time is over 300 because I'm playing from the Philippines. Okay, so I got 733 damage. I did damage to 3 different tanks, the SU-130PM, the T-54 Lightweight, and the Lorraine 40T. I also spotted a tank here, and he did not spot me, which is very interesting, because he's not very far from me. And I spotted another tank. I could easily fire at him because I have an escape route. There's right to my right, there's a place for me to hide. I did just get 926 spotting damage on that tank. So it was totally worth it. And this is the escape route, is just to reverse and hide behind this corner and just sit here for a while. Can be very confusing to play in the city maps. Wow. So I like to play with the regular rounds. I don't like to use the APCR. This tank is a tier above me. It's going to be hard to penetrate him with the regular rounds, but I'm at the point right now where I don't want to spend the money on the premium rounds, so I don't do it. I only do it when I'm working on a mission. That was a lousy shot, obviously. So we got some heavily armored tanks here, which is why I switched to the APCR. The reason why I'm having trouble driving is because I have a high ping time. I play from the Philippines, even though the server is in North America. The score is 7-0. You'll notice I'm trying to get a lot of buildings between me and the enemy. We've got a tank over here who's AFK. Wow. Okay, this is beyond the scope of the sniping position. I'm sorry I lost track. Let's move on to the next video. Hello, this is Dave from cheapbooks.com playing World of Tanks. This tank is the Foch B. This is a French Tier 10 tank destroyer. The map is Erlenberg. This is World of Tanks 1.2. This is a standard battle. I am going to get, I believe, around 5,000 damage in this game. This is also a 6-shot autoloader. The Foch is an amazing tank. It will give you high damage games. If you are looking to do a lot of damage, this is one of the tanks that will do it. I don't usually go to this position, but I often go to this position. You get pretty clear shots. You want to have a clear gap between the buildings, and you want to gauge if you think the enemy team is going to be aggressive or not. If they're not aggressive, you're going to have good shots from this position. See, our first customer showed up. With an autoloader, you don't want to waste a shot, and I obviously had a poorly shot. My third shot wasn't well thought out. So I started with 1,900 damage. That's basically 70 seconds into the game. I missed a shot on that tank. I have to reload. It is a long reload. I believe it's 40-second reload. But as you can see, I got 3 hits on the Batchat 25T and 2 hits on the TVP T50. They are Tier 10 tanks. The TVP is an excellent tank. You definitely want to do a lot of damage to that tank. And of course, the Batchat is also a good tank. Tracking them really helps when you got an autoloader, and I tracked him twice. Makes him a sitting duck. You do want to hit, when you're going at long range, you want to hit under the turret, and the reason why is because the entire side has approximately the same armor thickness. If you hit in the rear, there's a chance of setting the engine on fire, but there's also a chance that you'll miss the tank and hit over the engine deck. So I aim for just under the center of the turret, so that if the shot goes a little high, it still has an increased chance of hitting the tank. There is a circle, your aiming circle. The shot is going to land somewhere within that circle, so you want as much of the tank within that circle as possible. Unfortunately, I missed that shot. He was out of the game easily. I'm up to 2,600 damage. I did get 2 additional hits on a Leopard. I'm averaging around 400 or 390 per shot, 390 damage. Normally I don't go this way, but I did see the Batchat 25T, and I wanted to line up a shot between the buildings. Nice, perfect. So that was 2 shots on the IS-4. I've got 3 left. It does take a long time to reload. So when you have one shot left, you might want to hold on to it. You might not want to fire. You have to gauge when to reload. And usually if you're traveling from one place to another, that's a good time to reload, especially if you have a slow tank. So because I was spotted, I'm going to hug the side of a building. There's no artillery in the game, but I didn't know where the enemy was. It ends up he was right in front of me. I think I'm going to flub the shots against him for various reasons. I do have a high ping time. It's 245 milliseconds, and I use the auto aim a lot when I have a high ping time. Because if you don't, the gun will go all over the place, and it's better for the gun to track the enemy tank when you have a high ping time. I believe that this enemy tank is going to make a mistake, and he's going to give me an open shot on his lower plate. We'll see what happens. So I did the auto aim on the first shot. Next one didn't penetrate. Look at that, he reversed. He made a big mistake. He should have gotten closer to me. He should have gotten as close to me as possible. You want to get close when you defend and reverse when you want to take a shot. When he reversed, he allowed me to hit his weaker armor. 3,700 damage. I did 475 and then 13 against the T110E5. And I still have most of my hit points. I have more than half of my hit points left. 1,080 out of 1,850. Now, I did say I'm going to get around 5,000 damage in this game. In fact, I wonder if there's going to be a game where I get a lot of kills. I don't remember. Again, go for under the turret. Aim for under the turret. That shot missed. I don't aim in all the way. I fire the shot when I think that the circle has encircled the majority of the tank. So sometimes I will miss like I did on that one. And also I fired a shot after the tank had died, which was a wasted shot, of course. He's got strong frontal armor, but if you got a perfect shot, I did 387 damage on the first shot. I'm up to 4,950 damage. Now that Grill, who's way out in the corner, he's going to be, I think it's going to be, everyone's going to fire at him at the same time. So while I'm aiming, I miss my chance to get a kill shot in. But what I'm doing right now is I'm waiting for the TVP to go spot that last tank, even though I know there's a good chance I'm not going to be able to hit him because he's going to be behind the slope of the hill. But I figured that there's no way I would be able to approach him in time. And you can see I just barely got a kill shot in. That was a miss, obviously. It was the TVP who finished him off. I got 2 kills, 4,950 damage, and the score was 15-4. This tank is the RU-251. This is a German Tier 9 light tank, and the map is Erlenberg. I am going to show you a spotting position that you can use on this map. Obviously, this is a new map. I haven't discovered all of the spotting positions yet. There's a few that I've been practicing with. The one that I've been using the most is the bush that's basically right in front of me. But this one will do just as well for this particular game. And I will say that I'm not getting a lot of spotting damage from being in this bush. However, it is allowing me to keep the enemy spotted and to prevent them from controlling this part of the map. Like you'll notice this T-54 Mod 1, he's not going to be able to go anywhere. Anytime he tries to advance, my allies are going to shoot him back. Every time he tries to come over that hill, he's going to be spotted immediately. So the enemy is going to stay pinned on the backside of that hill. that you'll notice that there's a mouse on the enemy team, which is right over there, and there's an IS-3 over there. They're going to head this way, and I'm going to be actually surprised at how long it's going to take for my allies to kill them off. It would be nice to have a sniper on my team who takes up a position perhaps in these houses behind me, or in these houses in front of me, or in these buildings over here. That would make a huge difference in the game. I am concerned about the mouse because the mouse is actually going to be able to get very close to me. I've only got 196 spotting damage so far. So now the IS-3 is trying to advance. I think he's hesitating because he's probably got his sixth sense going off. He knows that he's being spotted when he comes around there. You can see that there's been a lot of damage to the IS-3. The mouse lost 900 hit points. And the M46 Patton has lost some of its hit points, but I'm not getting credited with the spotting damage. Someone else is spotting those vehicles at this time. This may have been the first game that I used this spotting position. As you can see, the mouse just took a lot of hits, but I did not get the spotting damage for the hits on that mouse. So obviously the first thing I'm going to do is duck in for cover, wait to disappear. And then when I think it's safe, I'm going to take up another spotting position. They've got their eyes on me. They're in good positions where they could easily spot me. It's going to make it very difficult for me to advance. Oh, look at that. The mouse went all the way. He was all the way in the south. He really got far behind me. Okay, so I just wanted to show you this was my first attempt at that position. Let's move on to another video. This tank is the Badger. This is a British Tier 10 tank destroyer, and the map is Erlenberg. I am going to get 2 kills. I'm going to do 4,200 damage, and I'm going to show you a nice sniping position that you can use in this game. If you watch my videos, you'll know that I like to play in the middle of the map, and I like to flank the enemy tanks. And the reason why I flank enemy tanks is because in the old matchmaking, whenever I was bottom tier, I knew I had to hit the enemy on the side armor, so I looked for flanking positions in order to give myself an advantage. You'll notice that most of my allies are going on the west side. We have very few tanks on the east side. And right over here is one of the positions you can use to set up on the enemy's flank. And there are many positions to choose from. This isn't the only one. If you're a larger tank, you're going to have your camel rating won't be as good, so you're going to have to be further away from the enemy, which usually means you're going to have to be on the west side of the river. But if you have a smaller tank, obviously you can get on the other side of the river. There's other positions you can choose. Another great thing about this position is that the water in front of me is shallow, so if I want to, I can drive right across the water to the other side. See, there's some nice positions over here. You've got a lot of bushes. You've got the, you can sit in the river. That was my first kill. I'm up to 1,100 damage, 760 spotting damage. You do have to watch out for tanks that might be in the position where the E50M is. You really want to track these types of tanks in this position. So you can see I missed his track. I don't know what he thought he was doing, but that wasn't going to work. Score is 6-2. I'm up to 3,700 damage. Because I have a lot of rounds, I'm going to take a lot of blind shots. So the Foch that was up on that hill is now out of the game. It looks like there's only, there's definitely 3 enemy tanks on the west, 2 on the east. There's 1 tank that hasn't been spotted yet in the game. The Badger is definitely a great tank. It's got great frontal armor. Especially if it's hull down. It's unlikely I'm going to be able to pick up any more kills in this game. Let's speed it up a little. And that's the game. The score is 15-3. I got 4,200 damage, 1,400 spotting damage, and 2 kills. This tank is a Centurion 7/1. This is a British Tier 9 tank. I don't know if it's a heavy tank or a medium tank. The map is Erlenberg. I actually like playing this tank. I'm going to get 3,400 damage in this game and 4,200 spotting damage. And some of the players on my team are going to compliment me on my playing style. You're going to see something crazy in this game. And It's a technique that I've been working on. You're going to see me play it with a variety of other tanks. But watch what's going to happen. And be amazed. Do you think I can sit in this bush right here without getting spotted? So remember, I'm going to get 4,200 spotting damage. Now, you're going to see other videos that I'm going to do where I'm going to play for this position. It's a very powerful position. It looks like there's not a lot of cover. However, there's enough cover here for a large tank. I'm going to spot the enemy, soften them up on their way to their fighting position, and I'm going to pin them in. They're not going to be able to come around to control that side of the map. They're going to have to stay in a very small, tight position. Every time they peek around, my team is going to take shots at them. It's going to allow my team to get close to them. We don't have a lot of support on the east side. However, we're going to have a great game. You can see that we have way too many tanks on the west side. I have had enemy tanks get very close to me. I've had them drive literally on the other side of those boxes over their large tanks without being spotted. So this is a very safe position. It's very difficult to spot on this map because what the enemy is going to do is once they know that they're going to get spotted, they're going to stay in that position as long as possible. They're going to be afraid to come out. You see that Centurion, he's afraid to peek over because he's constantly going to get spotted. And then you've got the tanks off in the distance, the AMX AC-48 and the M46 KR, which are the enemy snipers. They're too far away for me to spot them. So it's going to be a little bit of a problem that I'm going to have to figure out. As you can see, I'm maneuvering to a new position. I've got 1,000 spotting damage. But I'm doing this because I want to push my team forward. It's an assault defend game. We've got 7 minutes left. You can watch what's going to happen. Take a very close look at what the bat chat's doing. And look at that. The enemy team was preoccupied with where I was, and my ally went after them. He did a lot of damage, got 1 kill, got good support from the artillery. You'll notice I'm switching to high explosive rounds because high explosive rounds are going to damage that tank. That was 1 blind shot. Because I have 75 rounds, I'm probably going to take a couple blind shots. Also keeping my eye on the Centurion. You'll notice that an allied T-32 is advancing across the map right now. He took a good artillery hit. Unfortunately, the T-32 was taken out of the game. Okay, so we cleaned up the tanks that were on the hill on the east side, so now we have to go up against their snipers. And watch how I advance along the river. You want to stay as close to the river as possible. You notice that there's a little bit of a slant. Stay as close to the river as possible to make it very difficult for those tanks to hit you. Once you get here, you should be safe. You got to make it to this position to be completely safe. I got 3,200 spotting damage and 1,200 damage so far. And the score is 9-3. Scores 11-4. I'm up to 1,600 damage, 3,200 spotting damage. $12-4. Missed that shot. I got 193 spotting damage on that shot that the artillery took. Now, I want to head as close to the red line as possible. It's going to guarantee that I'm going to get the best shot on their side armor. And if they turn their guns towards me, that means they're giving their side armor to my allies. You want to make it more difficult for the enemy. They have to turn their guns around further in order to take shots at me. The score was 15-4. I got 3,200. In the after-game stats, it was 3,400 damage and 4,200 spotting damage. You can see there's a comment in the chat by the Object 252U. It says, "Nicely played, Centurion 7/1." This tank is a Charioteer. This is a British Tier 8 tank destroyer, and the map is Erlenberg. This is an assault defend game, and I'm on the assaulting team. Now, I want to find a good position that gives my team a strong advantage, and I found a great position. It's not great for doing a lot of spotting damage. It's not great for sniping. But it does keep the enemy team in check, and it does help you win games. You'll notice that this bush is very small, but it's going to keep me hidden throughout the game. I'm probably not going to get a lot of spotting damage. However, the enemy's never going to be able to leave that position. Anytime they try to come around that hill, they're going to get spotted immediately. And unfortunately, we don't have snipers. We need snipers back there where that T-28 is, but we don't have them. We have our snipers in the wrong position. So we'll be able to keep those tanks spotted, but they're not going to be easy to snipe. They're not just going to fall like a deck of cards. It looks like there's at least 4 tanks back there. He's low on hit points, so he can't do anything except for retreat. You see, it looks like the T-28 may have taken a shot at him. He was taken out by the Object 430, which is up there on that hill. I've played this position with a variety of tanks, including a Centurion, and I was not spotted. You see, he tried to come around, but he gets spotted as soon as he comes around that corner. I've only got 637 spotting damage. I've played this position with a lot of tanks. It's not a high spotting damage position. But like I said, this is the 5th tank, the Progetto 46 approaching. It keeps the enemy pinned down into a very small area. They're behind that little hill. And if they try to peek up, they're going to get nailed. You see the T-54 lightweight is coming around my side, but he didn't take the right approach. I obviously could take shots at these tanks, however, it would divulge my position and we would lose our spotting ability. So now the question is, where is a sniping position to support? And the answer is right here, all these buildings right over here. And perhaps even over here. And these buildings right behind me. A tank can easily hide right over here, be defended by snipers over there. And I'll try that position in the future. We have 4 enemy tanks in that location in front of me that I'm monitoring. And plus they have snipers in the background. You'll notice that those enemy tanks, for the most part, have their full health. The T-28 is advancing, however, he's not taking a good path. He should have gone through the buildings, taken a wider path. He would have been able to help us out a lot more. He would have gotten a better angle. He's taking a brawling angle. and it's not going to be as useful. We need flanking. From the position that I'm in, those enemy tanks are going to remain there until we fight our way through. You see the T-28, he should have gone into a flanking position, but he did not. You see he's starting to reverse. He's being very cautious about advancing. He's taking hits potentially from the enemy's rear flank. If we had a sniper on my side, we would have done a lot of damage to those tanks. You see the Emil is coming around, but the Emil is taking a hit. And the T-28's out of the game. Now, the reason why I fired my gun is because the score is 2-7. And something needs to be done. And I took a lot of hits. The score is 2-8, and we've only got 4.5 minutes. Okay, so again, I did the right job. I kept the enemy spotted. However, we could have easily had a sniper in that position right behind me where those buildings are, or those buildings over there. The T-28 could have taken up one of those positions and weakened those enemy tanks. I did 228 damage on my own, did 1,597 spotting damage. I've played this position for many games, and we're going to have a lot of wins from this position. This tank is the E-25. This is a German Tier 7 tank destroyer, and the map is Erlenberg. I am going to get 7 kills in this game, and I'm going to show you a sniping position that you can use on this map. There's a few different ways to use this sniping position. You're going to have some bushes. You're going to have bushes on either side of the river, and plus you have the ridge line of the river that you can also use, and you got a lot of buildings here. So you'll notice across the other side where the FCM-50T is, there's some bushes over in that area also, but I'm just as well starting out in this particular position. It's a lot of bushes over here. And obviously you want to find a position that's far enough away that you're not going to get spotted, and also a position where you'll be able to shoot over as many houses as possible. Luckily, because of the way that the hill is set up in the distance, you can be in a lot of different positions and you can hit tanks on that distant hill. It's not, you don't have to worry so much about being exactly on the side. Now, this first tank to show up, he's on the far side of a hill. He's on the back side of that hill in front of me. Now, obviously, this is an example where one of the buildings is in the way. And this is an assault defend game, and I am on the defending team. So I got 272 damage so far. So right now the biggest issue I have is that there is a building that is in the way. If you look at the mini-map, you will notice that a large portion of my team is in the center of the map. It looks like there are 4 tanks in the middle of the map, including 3 heavy tanks. Score is 3-0. So I happened to notice that that tank was between the gap of the buildings, which is why I stopped at that position. And here's the same. I noticed that there's a tank that was in the gap between the buildings. There is a position you can use that doesn't have a problem with the houses. The position is right in front of me. You can see that there's a tree directly in front of me. You can hide over there. However, that position, you're more likely to be spotted. I am starting to run low on regular rounds, so I'm going to have to switch to the AG or the APCR rounds after the next 6 shots. Okay, so it looks like we cleaned up most of the tanks on the east side of the map. There are a few stragglers that we'll pick up, and this is obviously where you can cross over in the water. And right here where I am right now, there's a ridge line. You can sit in the water and fire from this position up at the tanks in front of you. You can double bush if you knock this tree down and sit in these bushes right here. That's 3 kills for me. So for that case, I had to knock the wall down before my shell would fly through. And I am using APCR rounds because I've run out of regular rounds. That's 5 kills. Having mobility being fast and having a fast reload allows you to get a lot of kills, especially if the enemy tanks are low on hit points. That's 6 kills. And that's 7 kills. And that's the game. The score is 15-6. I got 1,700 damage, 400 spotting damage, and 7 kills. This tank is a GW Tiger P. This is a German Tier 8 SPG, and the map is Erlenberg. Now in this game, what's going to happen is watch the T-49. The T-49 is at the southernmost position. He's going through the F sector. He's approaching an AMX 1390. Watch what he does. Keep your eye on that mini-map. Notice that the T-49 is all the way in the south of the map, and he died. But what's important is that he did not spot any enemy tanks. That means that the enemy went to the east side. They lemminged to the east side. We have most of our tanks on the west side, but what's going to happen is the enemy is going to overrun our tanks on the east side. And I wanted to type a message. Normally I type a message saying we have too many on the west side. The enemy has lemming to the east side. You have to either reinforce the east side or you have to push south on the west side. And I've done it before, and everybody always ignores you. It's rare that anybody's going to react, and I'm not saying that it hasn't happened before, but I was trying to decide, how am I going to handle this situation? I want to line up my tank. I don't particularly like this tank. It's got a long reload. It's a slow tank. And I realize that we're going to get overrun. I'm going to have to reposition. And I talk about this strategy in previous videos. When the enemy overwhelmingly goes to one side, you have to take advantage of the side that they left undefended. And you have to advance as quickly as possible. You can see that the HWK-12 is starting to go south, and the T-34, and we're starting to get reinforcements, but it's going to be too little too late. The score is 0-4. So I was spotted, and I'm trying to head back to the other side of the map for safety. And you can see that the enemy team is already overwhelming us on the east side. The score is 1-5. Now, the proper thing to do in this case is for all of the sniping tanks to set up sniping positions. You want your allies to set up sniping positions. What they did is they started heading to the river. That's a mistake. They're going to go a little bit too far forward, such as the STRV S1 in the A6 area. He went too far forward. You want to have a group of tanks spotting the enemy advance and everyone else sniping from as far away as possible. I was too slow to react. I should have left more quickly, but I was thinking, okay, I'm going to go in, take my one shot, reposition. But unfortunately, because this is a slow SPG, I was too slow to react. But the reason why I wanted to show you this is because I wanted to show you that I made the wrong decision and my team made the wrong decision, and that caused the enemy to win this game because we didn't react properly. So again, if you identify that the enemy team is overwhelmingly on one side, you want to either reinforce that side immediately, which means everybody has to do it, or you want to push through to close up the southern flank and surround the enemy as quickly as possible, which we didn't do. So we did too little too late, and you want to set up the snipers. What's going to happen is they're going to advance, and they're going to pick off our snipers because our snipers don't have good sniping positions. Okay, let's move on to the next video.